frontier.
It is Rangers Daft, courtesy of Football Daft, as we bring you the lowdown and everything from Ibrox. I am producer John, and I usually at this point pull up names from the past and compare them to Grado and Stephen. I did have written down this week, Grado, the Sergio Perini and the Lorenzo Amoruso of the Rangers podcasting world. What one would you have been? You'd have been
But definitely big sexy Amoruso.
You've got a big dong, so you know what I mean.
Well, easy. I was going to say I've got a big pair of thighs.
Right, okay, we'll go with thighs. Well, listen, we're going to have to find your Sergio Perini. Unfortunately, Mr. Purdon is unavailable for selection today because the poor laddie, he's got an awful lot of things going on in River City. Do you think that he's got in a big storyline at the moment? We don't know what's going on, but he seems to be in every scene of everything at the moment. So do you think they're going to kill him off?
I knew you were going to say that, mate. Listen, he's a lifer. He's not cotton, man. He's no ever getting rid of River City.
You don't think so?
Oh, and I think if he was, he would be the first one to hear about it if he was. But
aye.
He's untouchable, man.
Right, okay. I wanted to start the hashtag pray for Stephen. Or pray for Shellsuit. But listen, we've got to fill in Sergio Perini somehow, and we've got one of our guest pundits on this week. He's one of our patrons. Jamie Walker, how are you, sir?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm all good, mate. All good. Thanks.
I'm from Tain, north of Inverness.
Tain,
aye.
Tain. As in like a tain a day off.
Like Modern Dew whiskey. That's probably what you know us for.
Aye, I know you from that. Are you part of the sports club up there, Jamie?
Used to help run the Inverness bus.
Really?
Did you?
I work away all the time now.
What do you do?
I'm a pest controller.
A pest controller?
And you're away all the time, so what kind of pest... Well, forget about Rangers anymore. I'm interested. What kind of pest do you control? Do you have a specialist subject? Is it rats? Is it... what?
Aye. What's your field?
Rats and mice usually, but like in the summertime it's usually wasps and birds.
Oh, really?
No, mate, I couldn't... I'll tell you one thing. I'm not keen on bees or wasps. I'm no good. I can't deal with bees.
Are you one of these people who goes, "Oh, it's a wasp"?
I'm telling you, I done it the other day. Yesterday, I put in my motor in Morrison's. It was a redneck. I was putting my messages in the boot, and there was a bee flying round about me, and I was getting all that carry on, and I dropped my phone and all that.
And it's great. The man who pinned the world champion Drew McIntyre being scared of a wasp and a bee.
I can't take to. I mean, what's the story, Jamie, about rats in Glasgow? Apparently, there's loads of rats in Glasgow. There's a big infestation in there. Is that tricky?
There's rats everywhere, mate. Yeah, because of COVID, nobody's been out and about like absolutely arsehole and dropping chippies all over the place.
What's the biggest rat you've ever come across, Jamie?
Biggest rat I've came across.
And we're talking about the animal and not like one of your mates who's a cheater.
I was going to say Neil Lennon a minute.
No.
And the ones you see in the papers and the ones you see on the internet, usually Photoshop or taken at a different angle.
Right.
Have you ever came across a Catman of Greenock? No.
Catman of Greenock, yeah. Google that video if you haven't seen. I was just brought that as a new thing. I mean, do you know that rats? They almost have like human hands, don't they? When you look at a rat's hands up close.
They're a bit.
Weird. Honestly, Gail, I see next time go and Google a rat's hand because it looks like a human hand. It's very strange, and once you see it, you're not never unseeing it. Anyway, Jamie, we're here to talk about Rangers, no rats.
That's weird.
Who's your favourite Rangers player of all time?
Probably shared between Gaza and Andy Gorham.
Gaza and Andy Gorham. Did you come up during that era then, Jamie?
Aye, mainly in the 90s. I was born in 86, so aye.
Right, yeah. So you got the loud drops, you got the Gazas, you got all that kind of 9-in-a-row team.
Gaza's just... Aye.
The hero, isn't he, man? When did you... have you been going to Ibrox for long?
I've been... had a season ticket since when I started work, when I was 16, so...
Brilliant.
Some commute coming from Tain down to Ibrox. I mean, how many games do you make a season?
I used to go home and away when I was
really?
near enough every week. But now I work, like I'm mainly on that Scottish Islands now, so just
There can't be much pest. Well, I guess there's wasp nests everywhere, isn't there? But I can't imagine the rat problem really exists out in the islands, does it?
You'll be surprised.
Really?
We do council stuff in the West.
What about tarantulas? You ever saw a tarantula?
Nah.
What about snakes?
Nah.
No, I never done. Right, okay, that's interesting.
The only kind of spider I've seen is a woodlouse spider.
Right.
It didn't freak me out, but I didn't know what it was. But if you look down,
You can hear Grado furiously googling that as we speak.
Oh, that's a cracker, that man. That's got a big belly and all that. Can that sting you? Can that sting you?
It can bite you. Aye, it won't do anything to you, but it would make it itchy for a couple of days and maybe a lump. Because obviously their fangs can penetrate a woodlouse.
Is that right?
They're woodlouse spiders, so it would hurt a wee bit.
There we go.
I'm going to end up thinking about this when I'm in my bed at night, and I hate that feeling to stick my toes under the covers in it until something comes up and bites me. I just
Jamie, what's your favourite Rangers moment?
Try to think. There's not many. Probably Helicopter Sunday.
Helicopter Sunday is always popular.
Just we won it and was watching it in a pub in Tain. Because obviously Easter Road didn't only had the free stands. They were doing the other stand at the time.
Yeah.
So none of us got tickets, and like my mate's granddad was convinced that we weren't going to win the league.
Aye.
So just the memory I've always got is running out absolutely buckled to the zebra crossing, and mate's granddad just by chance was there, and like screaming and bawling at him we had won the league, and he wouldn't fucking believe me until he put the radio on. It was just yeah.
Great moments for you. Great moments.
It's definitely one of our. It's probably the most popular answer in it.
It always is. Always is. Right, boys, let's get torn in about the football. 2 games to look at this week. Going back to the European game, starting with Lyon last week. Grado, you were there in hospitality and don't remember much of the game because you were steaming.
It was a good night. I got to network.
Did you manage to get anyone on for the podcast, Grado? That's the big question.
No, but guess who I got introduced to?
Who?
Andy Smiley.
Andy Smiley, did you really?
Because he must be like, obviously you're a radio guy, John. You must be well aware.
Yeah, the wind up Andy Smiley, yeah.
You know who I'm talking about, Jamie, no?
Nah.
He's a construction owner or something in Glasgow. And Robin Galloway bammed him up years ago, didn't he, John?
Yeah.
And was basically pretending to be Andy Cameron's lawyer. You said one of the most famous. I mean, it's one of the.
It's had millions of hits.
Aye.
I've heard it. Don't know the name, but I'm sure I've heard that. He pretends to be Cameron's lawyer.
Aye, that's right. That's right.
Just didn't know the boy's name, huh?
Aye, Andy Smiley. So I got meeting him. I was networking with
Good.
Some of the guys and gals in the Waddle Suite, you know.
Did you meet any of the players, Grado? Or COVID, they won't be allowed up in the suites afterwards, I'm guessing now.
No, we never. No, I was speaking to Big Marv before the game, just talking to him about putting on weight and stuff like that. And he was just kind of asking, stuff like that. But I mean, as far as the game goes, disappointing game. Atmosphere wasn't the best.
Really?
No, it wasn't. It was very flat. Were you at the game? No, you were at the game, Jamie, were you?
No, I was in Iowa working.
It was just a flat game, John. But I mean, a lot of folk were saying it was one of the most disappointing European nights in years. I wouldn't go as far as that, but
no, it's nah.
It wasn't. I mean, folk need to remember, John, that we were playing Lyon on Thursday.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. I mean, it's when you put it in perspective. This is how good the Rangers have played in Europe. It's the first time in 10 that you've lost. You know what I mean? It's the first defeat at Ibrox in 10 games in a European matches. And looking at the statistic here, first European loss since you got beaten off Man United in 2010-2011.
Say that again? It's
the first European loss at Ibrox since you got beat off Man United in the Champions League.
I can't get all that. You sure that's true?
That's true.
But hold on.
At the group stage.
Group stage, right? Because we could beat half Malmo fucking a couple weeks, right?
Like knockout rounds we've been beat. At group stage, it's the first defeat since Man U.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Hold on. What about when we get beat off Lyon at Ibrox? Did we not get beat off Lyon at Ibrox? That was
before.
So that was 2007-8, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. I believe you. Aye. So as I say, we've had great record, especially at home. But again, I think it's just the whole. I don't know whether it's a mentality thing this year, but there's just something no quite. There's a lot of players on the team that they're still sitting at, 5 or 6, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 10. Well, no 8 out of 10, but they're just no. I don't think we've kicked off yet.
Right.
I think we're stale. I think we never made any major signings. I think last year was phenomenal. Sorry, I know what I was trying to say. Outstanding. You know what I mean? Undefeated. I don't want to say we can't play in front of a crowd because it's not true.
Yeah.
I think the crowd doesn't help. What pisses me off is the young, not the Union Bears, the great atmosphere, they're brilliant, but kind of the younger generation that saying, Lyon games, worst fucking European game and how many years and blah de blah de blah. I remember, probably yourself as well, Grado, the 90s, we used to go in the Champions League and get absolutely fucking gubbed every fucking game. You know what I mean?
Aye.
Well, Smith was manager. And we had
Gaza
and Gorham, and we had a world-class team, but that Juventus, the kind of earliest I can mind is 94, 95, that Juventus team, it just fucking tore us apart. You know what I mean? Games like that, and you got to mind the younger ones as well. I was there when was it Unarea or whatever the fuck they were called?
Unarea, Unaceni. I went out to see them. Oh, and your favourite city or not? Budapest. Do you get it, John?
Bucharest.
But it's right because Bucharest. When it was Bucharest, no Budapest. Oh, I'm talking shit. But Unarea, we get beat 4-1 off Unarea at home, didn't we?
Aye, but that season we got beat. I think it was every fucking game at Ibrox by 4 goals. You know what I mean? When you're leaving Inverness at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm getting home until 3:30 in the fucking morning. That's what the young ones need to understand. The Lyon game isn't a fucking disaster.
You're like a grizzled old vet. You're like a grizzled old vet. Back in my day.
I love that. Were you surprised that when you saw the team lineup that Lundstrom started and Roof was on the bench?
Another thing that kind of annoys me is the formation. I would play 2 up front.
Even in Europe?
Even in Europe. You got to create chances. I think it's probably the biggest regret be the UEFA Cup final. We could have done something, maybe played the 2 up front, and he left it far too long to bring on Boyd and Novo. And then Novo had the chance to equalise, and they went up the park and scored the second in the UEFA Cup final. Even in Europe, I think I listen to, shouldn't really say this, but I listen to other podcasts, and people kind of from older generations, Paul Merson, David Wheater, boys like that are like, if they were managers, they would play 4-4-2 every week because the modern day defence isn't set up.
To cope with 2 up front, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's one thing that Steven Gerrard has stuck to is that 4-3-3 formation. You very rarely see him change it. But do you think it's time for a change then, Jamie?
I think, as I said earlier, I think we're stale. I think Davis, Kamara, Lundstrom, they're all the same player. The 3 of them playing is negative. Davis is, you know what I mean, 36, 37-year-old. He can't drive, you know what I mean? Can't he be a box-to-box midfielder as much as he wants to be? He can't do it. Lundstrom, I was quite happy when we signed him, but he's not done anything. Kamara's different class, but he can't do it all himself, you know what I mean?
I thought Lundstrom didn't have a bad game. He wasn't the worst player in the part the other week. But what I'm getting sick is, especially the game against Motherwell on Sunday, it's this, and we done it no bother last season, but this going wide and crossing it in. Teams have figured that out. You know the way.
That's what I mean. Being stale, I think the majority of teams in Scotland know how to play against us now. I think the majority of the European teams, because we came back and done so well, they're obviously you're anything half decent in football, you've got the scouting network, you know what I mean? And we've only got one formation. As I've said to my mates and even my older mates, I don't think Gerrard's really got a plan B. As much as I love him and as much as he's stopped them winning 10 and stuff, there doesn't seem to be, when it goes kind of tits up, there's no way to change it. And it's quite annoying.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the Lyon game, you did have your chances. Aribo, Kent, Lundstrom all had good chances in the first half to get, equalise and to get yourself into the lead. Would it have been a different game if one of those chances taken, or do you think Lyon just looked a bit of a class above Rangers?
They were big. They were all big and all, weren't they? I feel as if we get kind of bullied off the ball a bit too easy last week with Lyon. They were all big lumps of boys. Yeah, and it's now getting to that argument now again with Sunday, as what is it they're saying about us that we're no as many as it's as if we're feared. Not that we're feared, but we're too nice. They're too nice.
There's no kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say idiot, but there's nobody there that'll put a challenge in or like is willing to. I know, obviously, the whole Kamara situation against Spartak or whatever the hell they were called last year. You've seen that the team would fight for each other then, but it doesn't seem like there's a fight about them. Well,
do you think there's a lack of leaders on the park then? Is that what you're sort of saying, Jamie? Do you think there's
not a lack of leaders, but it just doesn't seem to be somebody who wants to put a foot in, or like even like Davis is Rangers through and through, but like say,
I know what you mean. McCulloch would dig. McCulloch would dig. Barry Ferguson would dig.
Totally, yeah.
I know what you mean. There's nobody that's, as you say, John, there's no leaders out there to kind of...
You've got McGregor at the back, obviously, but do you think you need... I mean, they're all a bit more quiet in the middle of that, but I mean, Davis, as good a player he is, you don't see a lot of that in the park, a lot of shouting, a lot of talking, do you? He's a bit of a quieter kind of guy. Is that fair to say?
Same as Tab, I would say. Tab's the captain. Love him as a player, and he's meant to be a good captain one-on-one and speaking to the boys and speaking up for them. But I don't know. What do you think, Grado? I never see him shouting and bawling on the park like an old kind of Richard Gough, Barry Ferguson, McCulloch, as you're saying. You know what I mean?
No, definitely. I know, and I notice a big difference when McGregor doesn't start either. When McGregor's not playing, you can see how much the players react to somebody like McGregor. McGregor screams his head off. And if you're right, Tav, you never see Tav. I've never saw him go mad. The only person who I'd say who maybe would shout and speak up the now is Goldson. But even at that, he's looking to blame some other cunt for what he's done, for what's gone wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like say, they goals on Sunday, you could see the nick of them. I mean, all four of them were caught out with that Motherwell goal. And they're looking to kind of...
It's okay, Grado. We'll get on into the Motherwell game. I just want to talk a wee bit more about it. Obviously, did you think? I mean, Tav couldn't do anything about that own goal, really. Could he? Could there have been anything? What you put the first goal? What you put in? Is there any blame for the first goal?
A good finish.
Was that an own goal?
Well, the second one was an own goal, great one. You could have Stephen by that point. You'd have your half-time drinks by that point. You got your wee order in for the half-time drinks. There's 2 pints there. We go half-time.
You don't get pints at half-time.
Oh, do you not get that anymore? No.
No, I don't do that in Scotland, apparently. Well, maybe if it's just at Ibrox, but you don't get that. Yeah.
No, they don't do it in Scotland.
Yeah, that's a shame. So, I mean... Obviously, he's coming away disappointed, I'm guessing. But you look at Lyon, they're a very accomplished side. You were going back to what you were saying, Jamie. Do you think there was something missing there on Thursday?
I wouldn't say something missing. Lyon, my eyes, Lyon could probably go on and win the whole competition. I would say they're one of the favourites.
Yeah.
You see who gets drops in through the Champions League. You can't really say. until the later stages. But I would say Lyon are one of the favourites up there.
I mean, they were very unlucky against PSG at the weekend, so...
Yeah. Picking the bones out of it, the positives I would say would be we don't have to play it until the last game.
Yeah.
So, on paper, you would say Lyon would be through. So they might play a weakened team against us.
Yeah.
The next 4 games for us are make or break. We could go into the Lyon game. I would be happy we're going into the Lyon game with 9-10 points. 12 would be terrific, but if we're going in with, no offence, but 2 wins against Brøndby, a win against, is it Prague?
Yeah.
Prague at Ibrox and maybe a draw over there would give you the 10 points. I would be happy going into that Lyon game, the last game in December, with the 10 points on. I wouldn't say just needing a draw or a win to qualify, but you'd be in a good position if you've got the 10 points and going to Lyon. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah. Obviously, a big blow to the team was losing Ryan Kent in that match as well. How big a loss is he going to be over the next few weeks and months?
Well, I don't know you, Jimmy, but he's really this season there's something missing, whether it's confidence, but I must say, like Kent on Sunday, in the first half, we didn't miss him. I don't think we missed him. I thought, oh, Christ, this is quite exciting. We're playing not too bad here. Without the likes of Kent, we were still getting a wee bit of skill for Scott Wright, and I thought, hey, this is it was a bit. I know I'm choked to talk about Sunday, right? Because I really am. But really, we started that game first half. We looked as good as ever, especially this season. We were free flowing. We were attacking. It's the best attacking I've seen them play this season. So it was a bit like, hey, man, this might be good for Kent to see for when him comes back. Obviously, you don't want him injured, but it gives him a bit of a test competition for the jersey.
Well, they're saying 3 to 4 weeks. Obviously, he pulled up with his hamstring, so 3 to 4 weeks. So it's not as bad as it could have been. Going back to the Lyon game, just saying what Stephen Gerrard.
Fuck the Lyon game.
Fuck the Lyon game. We'll get on to Sunday because you know you're gagging to talk about that, Grado. Because Stephen can't remember anything of Thursday. Stephen said after the match, I think we gave a lot to the game. I don't want to be too critical because for large parts of the game we competed. We created some decent moments without them being clear cut. I think the scoreline is slightly harsh on us. You guys don't seem to think that.
Nah.
We made 2 mistakes for their goals. Not to be harsh.
I mean, that was Kent. Any 2 goals were Kent. I can remember that. But no Kent's fault. Did he not have possession in the centre of the pitch and if I can take half him?
The second one definitely was. I thought that at the time, and you just kind of put it back in my head. He got dispossessed at the edge of the box.
Mm-hmm.
The second goal was just not laughable, but it was a mistake. You know what I mean? It's just chins up, get off with kind of thing. The first goal was a good finish by the boy. He picked the corner and put it in the corner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All in all, we would have been happy with a draw, but I think we would have had to go in at 1-0 to get the draw. But
yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting to see that Stephen Gerrard just finishing off the quote, not to be too harsh. At the domestic level, you can sometimes give the ball away in certain areas, but not at this level in the Europa League. So maybe a kind of veiled dig at Kent for giving the ball away for the goals. Right, okay, let's move on to the Motherwell game then, boys. 1-1 yesterday, ended at Ibrox. A couple of changes for Rangers, obviously, from the European match. Simpson, Wright, Roof and Sakala all coming into the side. And of course, it was Flag Day. I must have brought a wee tear to the eye, did I not seen that championship flag getting unveiled?
Well, I think a lot of the folk in attendance weren't too happy about the Flag Day. They were all told there to get there 15 minutes before.
Chris, I've seen a lot. I was going to actually put that in the news, but since we're talking about there's been a lot of criticism of Flag Day. They kind of thought it was a bit subdued. It wasn't what they thought it was going to be. I mean, basically, kids, I think it was Douglas Park coming out unfurling a flag and walking off the pitch, really, wasn't it?
But I mean, then you get folk even moaning about the way they put the flag up. Some folk are never happy, but it just, I mean, I was obviously watching it in the house, and it just didn't feel.
You wanted fireworks, Grado. You wanted the spectacular. You wanted smoke. You wanted all that, don't you?
Aye, and music, and not even music, but something. See the DJ Ibrox, the guy that does the match announcing. He's great at what he does, how he announces the team. He's superb. But some of these songs, see playing the Bluebells are Boo, man, for 6 minutes. It's like, that's been played there for I was a boy going to the games.
Aye.
I just think something na 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 na.
I know
you should be playing at Falkirk, man.
Right, I know Michael, who is the match day announcer and DJ, so I'll have a word on your behalf.
No, but I don't. Does he pick the music?
I'll speak to Michael, because he actually wants to come on Rangers Daft, so we'll get Michael on Rangers Daft as a guest pundit.
I'm not saying he's a great announcer.
Next Rangers Daft, next week Rangers Daft, I'll get Michael on, and you go away and you put together a wee list of songs for him.
No bother.
We'll get that sorted on Rangers Daft. If you've got any suggestions that you'd like to add on, tweet us, and we'll get Michael to. We'll compile a list for Michael to come on.
Like a prayer.
Like a prayer, obviously. That'll obviously be.
No, but as I say, I'm no thing with the guy. That's no fair, because I think he's good at what he does. Whether he gets to pick the songs, I don't know. But obviously, there's rumours going about as well that Gerard didn't want a big show and dance about it and all.
Right. Is that right? Oh, that's
because it's nearly freaking Halloween.
I think music-wise, they've got to be very careful with what they play, because there's not many songs with so many add-ons.
Listen, you can't go wrong with AC/DC, Jamie. Just stick on some AC/DC and we're away to the races. Right, so bit of a kind of come down to 5 day, but Grado, you were alluding it to there. He started off really well, attacking, creating chances. What did you make of the performance?
Well, see, at half time, I'm thinking we're pumping them 1-0. I thought this, and Gerard even
pumping
said
them 1-0, a good expression, yeah.
But we were pumping them 1-0, and it just felt like, right, this second goal's coming, this second goal's coming. They were fluid, they were fast. Sakala looked shit hot, and then they just come out a different team in the second half. And again, we say it every week, we can see that. What is it they say? Even Gerard's saying it now, by the way. Even he was saying it. I've seen this movie before. That's the patter. But you knew it was coming.
The patter.
Oh, he was saying it. And I could just see it coming, and it did. It happened, and then after that, it was. I just knew. See, even when they announced 6 minutes extra time, I thought I'd actually prefer that I'd prefer the ball or the whistle, but I was more nervous about them getting a winning goal rather than us scoring, because we just looked out of ideas.
Well, that's interesting, because the week before, you were looking at your phone, you were at Transmit, and you were looking at your phone saying it's 1-1, but I've got no problem with them. They're going to win. Obviously, end up winning 2-1. But this game was completely different for you then.
It just looked again that how we were a couple of years ago when teams had us figured out. We couldn't. It's the same. Getting the ball and passing it wide, and the shots into the box, and there's nobody. They're waiting on somebody fucking slipping a banana for us to get in a goal, rather than
I think
I wouldn't say we could have played all night and we wouldn't have scored a goal, but it did feel a wee bit like that.
Right.
Motherwell, they're not a bogey team, but you know what I mean. We've had hard games against them, even last season. Like the game when we eventually won 1-0, 3-1, sorry. But they were 1-0 up until the 70th minute, and then Luton won and scored. They
played a 5-5.
But we're so easy to read, and so
that's what I mean.
Yeah, and with Gerard coming out and saying, "Oh, I've seen this movie before," well, fucking change it. Go 4-4-2.
You're loving this 4-4-2, Jamie. Loving this 4-4-2.
Not 4-4-2, but just fucking play with proper wingers. Why do you need 3 holding midfielders in it? Mm-hmm. When yesterday was a brilliant chance with them losing to Livingston for us push on away from them. Because fair play to Hearts and Hibs being up there with us just now, but we all know by the end of the season, well, maybe it will be Hearts and Hibs if fucking Big Ange stays about, but
I know what you mean, mate. It was a perfect opportunity for us to put even more pressure on them, on Celtics. It was you're watching and you're going, right.
It's like, I don't know about yourself, Grado, but if Morelos doesn't play, it doesn't look like we're going to score. I know Sakala.
We were impressed by Sakala, Jamie. I was impressed by what really impressed me with Sakala is his movement. He's maybe a wee bit finesse. He's maybe a wee bit rough, but his movement off the ball I thought was really impressive, and on the ball.
Yeah, he looked really good. I was at the Brighton game and the Real Madrid game when he got time on the park, and he looked really good. And he took his goal against Real Madrid really well as well. There's a player there. I don't think, he's not a ready-made replacement for Grado. They're not the same type of player.
No, they're not the same type. He's a very different player. Very different player.
Yeah.
He's energy dipped. He's energy dipped in the second half, but I would put that down to he's not really had a right good run at it yet. It's been a bit stop-start for him. So there is a player there, and that's what I'm saying. I was getting excited in the first half because I thought, oh, this is a nice week and this is a tidy wee setup here. We just should have scored more goals. We should have took our chances.
I think Sakala would be suited to big man, wee man. You know what I mean? Somebody knocking it on and him running on it.
That day certainly looks like that kind of wants to get the ball in behind. But the Rangers don't really play that way. Really, they don't.
No,
they don't go
because we only play one channel. Everybody knows the way we play.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the goal. The goal was miles offside. I mean, I don't know how the linesman's missed that one. It was absolutely blatantly offside. But
it's funny because I said that to Steve. I'm going, I think that's offside. It was offside then, wasn't it?
Absolutely miles off. Absolutely miles off. So I don't have to miss it. But listen, he obviously took his chance well and took his chance. I'd have to say, shout out to Conor Golson. I thought when Tony Watt went through with just that wee header and they went through, that was great bit of defending from
that was heart in your mouth there. How did Dino score that? How did Tony Watt not put that away there? But that, as I say, that's what again. Well, we're going. Oh, the character's looking good there because there we could have been 1-0 down, and then practically seconds later we're up the park and scoring. That's why it was such a good feeling. But fucking hell, man, for as well as we put pressure on in the first half, and with Sakala and Scott Wright, and compared to compared to the week before against St Johnstone, I thought Sakala and Wright were shit hot. But it was scary at the back.
Yeah, Simpson not the answer then.
Simpson, man, see when I watched Simpson, and there was one point in the game, and I thought that boy wants to burst out greeting. He did, but I just think he's just. I don't know if this is a wee bit. I mean, I know he did. He had a good. Did he start against Celtic? When did he start against Celtic? Was that last year? Was that last season?
Well, it wasn't this season.
Against Simpson, didn't he?
Did he play against?
He's not played against Celtic, I don't think.
He has. I'm sure he did at Parkhead. He did. He definitely played when somebody was out.
No Edmondson, no?
There we go. Just when we need Stephen Pundit.
No, man, I'm making an arse of myself in this podcast. Do you know what I mean?
Edmondson was away last year.
Yeah. So not getting that second goal then, that was the killer, I'm guessing, boys, that you didn't manage to get that second goal. I mean, surprisingly, there was a point where I think Stephen Davis broke forward and you're thinking, he took this is very on Stephen Davis, like he took the wrong option. There was a ball out to the left and he went to the Kamara
or Kamara, and he hit it at an angle that it made it difficult for him, and that was a great fucking break. But that was the kind of story that afternoon, especially, and even with Aribo's chance at the end. Was it Aribo had a wee chance there at the end and on? It kind of hit off. And then it was his arse.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Telling you, John.
Motherwell, they only had one shot. There was their first shot and goal. Did you see that coming though? Did you kind of get a sense of that, Grado? You were kind of saying you.
I mean, I could feel, I could definitely. I thought they're going to score. They're going to score.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, John, they did.
Yes, they did. They did indeed. I mean, so I mean, it obviously finished 1-1. So that's the first time you guys have dropped points at Ibrox since March 2020, which is absolutely incredible run against. But there was big boos at the end, wasn't there?
Aye.
See, that's going back to.
Are you going back? Let's go back to the crowd.
The younger support. They just see it as like, oh, we were undefeated last season. You know what I mean? We should be hammering every team in Scotland. It just doesn't work with that. You know what I mean?
But do you know what, Jamie? See,
positives and negatives. We're up top of the league. We're an extra point clear of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot more positives and negatives. Like the way we've started this season, we're top of the league. We're in the Europa League. It's not as rosy as it was last year, but I think there's a lot of negativity about Rangers when there shouldn't be. 4 points clear of Celtic. I know we've got hard games coming up, but
aye, we were spoiled last season. I think that's.
And then we go back. Yeah, but I honestly think they were so more relaxed without the fans, because a bad pass or like even bang on full time, everybody, well, not everybody, but a fair few of them booing and stuff like that. They weren't getting that last year, you know what I mean?
Well, if they can't deal with that, they want to strap one on, because they've got no option. They're going to have to play in front of a crowd. I actually don't think. See, I know what you're saying there, Jamie, about the boos and all that, and the moans and the groans, but I think it was a bit. You couldn't blame the crowd on Sunday. I don't know. Maybe I'm being wrong, but
if you're paying 500-600, even sometimes £700-800 for a season ticket, you're entitled to boo if you want to boo, but it's not. It's not really. You know what I mean? It is your opinion. You're fair enough. Boo away if you want to boo, but it's a negativity. You know what I mean?
I don't know how. I mean, the big thing I took for it was the amount of empty seats, and I'm thinking it's one each, and there's like 6 minutes to go, and half the stadium's emptied.
Yeah.
You're always going to get that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's get into then. So from across the week, boys, who is your Rangers Daft rated player?
Right. I don't know, man.
Taking the European, you won't remember the European game, Grado, but taking the European game, taking in the Motherwell game into consideration, who was the best player of the week?
Best player of the week.
Oh Christ, that's hard.
Aye.
It's a great podcast, man. Jesus fuck. I'm going to say, just because he's bright, first half, Sakala. And he got the goal. I mean, it makes sense.
Right, okay.
As Jamie says, Kamara can't do everything. I think Davis looks tired, and as you say, you kind of.
He's playing every minute he can for us, and then he's going away and playing every minute he can for Northern Ireland because he's captain. And they're getting so many people pulling out. So he's constantly playing football, you know what I mean? He's not getting a... When I'd like to see Stephen Kelly get his chance. He's been kept there as a squad player, you know what I mean? Give him a game. He looked decent in the game against Brighton, and he looks like people around me and my mates were saying people that were sitting around them. Reminds me a hell of a lot of Barry Ferguson. Getting the ball and looking to pass it and
moving box to box. Yeah.
Box to box. He looks a player. But you know what I mean? Probably, I don't want to keep on going back to Lindstrom, but is he better than Lindstrom? Is he a better option at the moment? You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
You still not giving me your Rangers Daft rated, Jamie. Come on, pal. Pick up something. Your Rangers Daft rated player.
Rated? I'm trying to think.
Just go with Sakala, like Grado.
Sakala.
There you go. Just agree with you. Right, okay, then this is maybe an easier question this week then. Who is the Rangers Dafty of the week?
Who do you think it is, John?
Me, personally? I don't know.
I would say, Simpson, Disney.
Simpson.
For me.
Kent from the Lyon game, maybe giving
away the right. Okay, so it's a toss up between Simpson. You go Simpson, then Grado.
Right, I'll go Simpson, and Jamie can go Kent.
There we go.
Simpson does look a bit like a rabbit in the headlights, doesn't he? Just looks.
Would you be? I tell you what, you'd be better playing Homer Simpson. That's what I'll tell you. Right, and boys, let's move on to a couple of bits of news before we look ahead to the games. We talked about Flag Day, a lot of criticism online on Twitter and social media about just how it was a bit subdued, a bit kind of underwhelming. You guys feel that as well, yeah?
We've discussed that.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll discuss that, Grado. Just making sure that, just confirming that. The other story is that a source close to BT Sport has appeared to threaten Rangers over Europa League coverage of the club. They're basically saying after Chris Sutton and Neil Lennon were banned from Ibrox that they could do all the Europa League coverage from an empty Celtic Park instead. Saved costs on setting up 2 studios. What have you guys made of the, Grado, you kind of were a bit kind of humming and hawing about it. Ali McCoy's obviously came out and had a bit of a dig as well for not letting Sutton and Lennon into Ibrox last week. What have you two made of it?
Oh, I'm in two minds about it, Jamie. I'm kind of like...
Lennon's a fan. Lennon, anytime he's been there as a manager, even when he was a Hibs manager, the 5 each draw doing the area playing and the game... beginning, was it Gerrard's first game, Ibrox, against Hibs, and he was get it up, the fucking director's box and stuff like that. Mind, when he was a Hibs manager, he's just, you know what I mean? He plays. It's totally going into the wrong kind of side of things, but plays the victim a hell of a lot of the time when he's fucking doesn't help himself. Sutton's never got a good word to say about us, so.
But you can't. I don't know.
You can't go. You play a dangerous game when you start playing that, though. Ban because they have. I
think Rangers should get the media. I think that's what the whole thing is. Because even with BT coverage, still Emma Dodds, Ali McCoist, and Davy Weir, who that's kind of a Rangers TV panel. You know what I mean? And Rangers TV present.
What's you pay a month for BT Sports, John?
I don't have BT Sports.
Right.
£5 or something, I think it is nowadays. But
5?
Yeah.
Aye.
I just get Sky put in because I stopped it, and it says £27 a month.
If you can confirm how much you pay for your BT Sports, please tweet the show, and we can get a good deal for. If you work for BT, you can get Grado a deal. Even that's even better. So yeah, it's. I mean, I'll be interested to see what happens. I don't think we've heard the end of this situation, and for me, it's a wee bit playing to the galleries a wee bit, I think, but
isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's Neil Lennon not being back.
Maybe it'll end up being tit for tat.
Oh, yeah, just don't get in that situation. But
I know, but that's what Scottish football's like, isn't it?
Well, that is exactly what it's like. We'll follow that story as that continues, and more doubt we'll hear more about that as the week goes on. West Ham apparently looking at Connor Goldson come January. Surprised at that, or do you think that's the kind of club he should be, potentially ending up at? With the contract negotiations are still ongoing, aren't they? So
he's still not signed it, isn't he? No, he's still not signed.
Oh, he's still not signed it. I mean, you wouldn't want to. I guess you wouldn't want to see him go in January. Would you then just want to hold off and just let him go on a free at the end of the season if he hasn't signed a contract?
It's a tricky one.
You would have to evaluate the situation in January. Is Helander going to be back? I know he's out till December, but could go on to January. If you're getting money that they got for Ayer, you know what I mean? Or even 8 million, and he's only got 4 months left in his contract.
I don't know if you'll get 8 million. I think that's.
Oh, no, but maybe 5 million. Depends.
Yeah. I think
for West Ham if West Ham are chasing Champions League places, I mean they're up there now. If they keep that form going.
I don't know if you'd be lucky to get any more than 4 or 5 for Goldson, but especially if he's out of contract in the summer. But as you say, if they really want to kick on in Europe next year, it might be a good wee deal for us to get that money in January if he decides to go.
They could be still in Europe as well, you know what I mean? They're in the Europa League. They could still be in Europe, pushing for the Champions League places in the Premiership. You don't know. You would need to.
I mean, you see,
3-4 months down the line, you can't really judge it just now until.
I think it's credit to Rangers as well, though, that suddenly clubs like West Ham, I mean, who are a big Premiership club, are coming about looking at Rangers players again. So I mean that goes to show you, Rangers are definitely moving in the right direction, and again, Ross Wilson's talked about it. Something's going to have to give at some point.
Harry Forrester and not anymore, is it?
Oh, yeah, Harry Forrester. Yeah, I mean, something's going to have to give for the financial model to work for Rangers. Something's going to have to give at some point. So it'll be interesting. But it's just that first player that goes out the door for decent money. That's going to be the interesting one to see.
The thing is with Wilson, I'm sure there's probably a situation with his wains and all that as well.
Aye.
Because I remember when he signed, he was going about with a pram. I mean, wee things like the Wayne starting school and you've got to think about stuff like that. And I know it sounds daft, but really it does. Exactly. And I think Gerrard will know deep down what's happening. And if he said, because I'm sure he said in a press conference a couple of weeks ago that it was going to be tied up soon. I don't know whether if he's just running down the time. I don't know, but you can understand.
West Ham are sniffing about. I think he's from he was up Brighton. He's from the kind of Brighton area. It's not a kick in the arse off of London, is it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It might to go down that way, but I mean, you can't hold anything against him if he does eventually move on. The same as Morelos or Kamara or any of the rest of them that are kind of the higher rated players in the squad. If they move on, we kind of know we're a stepping stone nowadays. You know what I mean?
Yeah, across the city, you've just got to look at across the city and what they've done in the transfer window, Celtic. So I mean,
but then also, sorry, just to say one more thing. If he's here next season, he could get a wee shot at Champions League football if we win a league.
Well,
it's a shame though. If West Ham are pushing for that, looking at it, that kind of
we'll
other side of the coin, and West Ham are pushing for the Champions League. It's just, and then it's the opportunity to play in an English Premiership week in, week out. The likes of Ronaldo not being back there, you know what I mean? It's
Okay. Beats going to Dingwall on a fucking Wednesday night, that's for sure.
Aye. Or being up against like Aidan Brophy or Ronaldo, I think.
So, boys, next up, it's the League Cup this week. Livingston at home, who are obviously just coming off beating Celtic there at the weekend. Then you're away to Dundee. Livingston, all right. That's the first one of the season. I thought they'd tip them to go down. I don't know if they'll play a strong side at Ibrox. They're kind of putting, I guess, all their staying up, all their team is kind of staying up. But yeah, how do you think the game's going to go against Livingston on Wednesday?
Hate playing them home or away, but would rather playing them at home. I hate going to Livingston, man. They games are hard to watch, but hopefully we'll be all right playing Livingston at home.
Yeah.
And they've got to. I mean, they've got to win. Rangers have got to win a trophy this season. They've got to win an Cup.
Yeah, so I mean, do you think, what kind of side do you think Gerrard will put out against Livingston? What be your kind of squad players that he'll stick out against them, or do you think?
Oh no, he's learned his lesson. He can't be doing that. He can't be doing that this year. He knows his squad.
One or two changes. He can't proper change his squad up. I think.
No.
Maybe.
Gerrard will be desperate to get a League Cup.
It might be an opportunity to try somebody out in centre half.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody alongside Golson or Balogun just to see, because obviously somebody gets suspended or injured, kind of fucked at the back, ain't we?
Yeah, especially Katic away on loan.
It's an ideal opportunity maybe to bring in the likes of Stephen Kelly. But going back to, if Morelos doesn't start, it doesn't look like we're going to fucking score. So. Yeah. It's obviously Livingston are going to be bouncing, but it's true what you say, John. Is he going to rest players as well? Because obviously, he's staying up there at aim. You know what I mean?
What are your predictions for that match, then, boys?
1-0.
1-0. Right then, it's away to Dundee. Looking at the record against Dundee that you have, it's 2-1 to them over the last 20 matches, 2 draws, 2-1 to them, 16 wins to Rangers. Coming off the back of the Dundee derby there at the weekend, beating 1-0. Unfortunately for you though, they've got Lee Griffiths there, which you just think it could be a wee bit of a factor, especially when you're away up there. What do you make of this game?
I'd be more worried at Jason Cummings, to tell you the truth, than Lee Griffiths.
Oh, that's a shout.
Ex-players coming. I mean, when you look at the stories across it, so you've got Killian Sheridan there as well, obviously, Jason Cummings, Charlie Adam as well.
Wow.
I think he's still injured, isn't he? I watched
he's still carrying a knock, yeah.
They didn't. It's hard to judge. I know it was a derby and United were at home, but they had a couple of opportunities. Griffiths had a good chance. I think it was the first half. I would hope, well, kind of praying that you should be going to places like Dens Park and picking up 3 points if you're serious about defending our title, you know what I mean?
So, what you think the score's going to be then, Jamie?
2-0 or 2-1 to Rangers.
2-0. Grado?
1-0.
1-0. You're just going 1-0. This is
Well,
going to be a prediction for the rest of the season. Just 1-0. 1-0. As long as you get the job done. So that's the weekend's games and the week's games coming up. And that is it for Rangers Daft. Thank you very much for listening. Jamie, thank you for being our guest pundit and stepping in for Stephen this week.
So, cheers for that, Jamie, man, because I know there'll be a lot of people tuning in to hear football talk, man. I don't like doing this.
I don't like talking about football. This is what we've heard for the last week on the podcast. Doesn't he like interviewing the footballers? Doesn't he like talking about the football? Like when we talk about like nonsense as well. Like Gregor's favourite part of this podcast is probably talking about the pest control and talking about the Catman Greenock. So there we go. Thank you very much for listening to Rangers Daft. Please rate, review on Apple, wherever you get your podcast. You can be a pundit just like Jamie. Just sign up to our Patreon, patreon.com/football daft. We'd love to have you on the show. Me and Grado will be back on the headline show this Friday with Chris. Stephen's still MIA. Who knows if his character's going to be killed off in River City? Let's just start that rumour right here on Rangers Daft. He'll fucking hate us for it, but never mind. You can vote on your swanky moment with El Dorado. That is up on our Twitter right now. The swanky moments this week off the top of the head are Tav's goal against St Johnstone, which Grado nominated, Ayeti goals and the fact he's scoring them, which Chris nominated, and nominated Hearts' social media team for using Mr. Garrison to announce Barry Mackay. I thought it was cracker. And the Portree Cat, 55-year-old goalkeeper in the sticks up in the Sky League. So get voting on that for a swanky moment with El Dorado. And until next time, boys, on Rangers Daft.
We are the people.
We're the people.
Audio Frontier.